Well, come on in, Stuart. I'm going to pretend for a moment that Stuart is my son Johnny, who is going to be here in a matter of minutes now. He gets here in about an hour. For those of you that I think I told you that my end date to have everything ready was December 17th, because that's when he got in the States. He actually landed in LA. He spent last night in LA, and he will get here this afternoon. It's our tradition that Hubs goes and picks him up at the airport, and then I am home just kind of being a fairy, waiting for him to arrive. My younger son, Jamie, I'm sorry he can't be here. He just FaceTimed me. He is at Copper Mountain skiing. You can hear that lots is going on. There was my dryer. It just went off and beeped its last load. And that's my question of the day. No matter how much scurrying and bustling about and zhuzhing you do, it always seems like there are just a few more things you have to get done before that important person arrives, whether it's Santa or it's a loved one. So if that's true for you, let me know. I find this kind of stuff, I don't know, kind of just fascinating. So welcome to our morning room / library / bar. And I've kind of got it decked out for the holidays. So I've got a live wreath hanging in my etched glass window. It is a fresh wreath with some berries from my garden. There are some pine cones and branches and things that I saved from one year to the next to festoon what is typically a pretty important focal point in this room. I normally have a wreath in that window. I went crazy this year, you guys, and it was such an unexpected joy. Normally, I like the look of my silver being kind of aged and tarnished, and this year I just went crazy polishing everything. Stuart was kind of making fun of me. But it just lends so much light and sparkle, and I think kind of unexpected magic to everything. So I polished my ice bucket, which I will fill here shortly. I polished the trays. Stuart it's kind of funny, moments ago he said, there's just little goodies everywhere. So I've got out nuts and gingerbread. These are these thumbprint glasses. I'm sure for many of you, you recognize them. If you do, let me know. I have a picture that matches. These belong to my mom. And these embroidered Christmas doilies or Christmas napkins, I got these in Langkawi years ago when we were doing a cruise in Malaysia and Thailand, up and down that coast, and I love them. Which one is your favorite? I kind of always navigate to the wreath. So I get these out for festive occasions like this Christmas. I've got lots of amaryllis in bloom everywhere. I ordered lots from Brex that are still coming into bloom and they're planted up, but I wanted to have some already in blossom for when Johnny got here, and most of those that bloom early are red lion. As you guys know, amaryllis, they just have a mind of their own. They just bloom when they want to bloom, and if they bloom by Christmas, that's fine, and if they don't, I'll enjoy them after the holidays. So I've got the bar bedecked with their favorite beverages, things that they like to drink, because we will have lots of my son's friends visiting. I might have a little impromptu open house tomorrow. One thing that I always get early in the season are these Amarena cherries with stems, because my son likes drinking old fashions, and you can get these at Trader Joe's, but they sell out pretty quickly. So typically I stock up as soon as I see them, and I give them also, this is another stocking stuffer that I sometimes give for the holidays. So that's kind of what's going on here. And then on my little sidebar, I've got I was saying earlier, Stuart says, you've got goodies tucked everywhere. Well, I've got trail mix in here. I've got more in the kitchen. This was a gift from my new daughter-in-law's mom. Do I have goodies in here? No goodies in there yet, Stuart. We'll have to decide what to fill that with. I've got some Spode coasters out, and then all of the setups that my kids like to use in their drinks and things like that. And then a little bit later, after 5, I will make sure that there's ice, sliced limes, sliced lemons, oranges, whatever their little heart desires. I got my Santa cap out with greenery tucked in a number of different places. Now come into the living room. And one of the things I love about doing these house tours, you guys, of different homes at the holidays, is it's like gardens. There's no one standard form of beauty. There's multiple forms of beauty depending on what your taste is, what colors you like, what vintage of objects you desire. And I think that's one of the fun things about visiting different homes. And I'm guessing you guys do too. So I hope you enjoyed some of the holiday house tours that we had this year. I got this old-fashioned Christmas banner at a Date with Iris, my favorite flower shop just up the street. There's a needlepoint Santa from one of my dearest friends, Deborah. She needlepointed that for me many years ago. It's a little gardening Santa. It's one of my precious Christmas possessions. And then over here, I'll try not to move so fast, Stuart, that you make people dizzy. I've got more amaryllis getting ready to come into bloom, little tiny trees. And just as I was discussing at John Turman's home, he talked about just festooning things that you already have in place, your regular decor, and you just try to make it a little bit more festive. So my little terrier dog, that reminds me of a little tiny dog we had years ago named Billie Holiday, named after my favorite singer, and I just put a little wreath on Billie Holiday and put out some of my boys' favorite Christmas books if they want to wax nostalgic while they're here. I can't remember, Stuart, do you remember if I showed this little trio of Christmas trees planted up when I was just beginning to decorate? These are tiny little evergreen trees that I got. I think I got these at Trader Joe's, but I've seen them a million different places. And I just potted them up in one of these rectangular window box style terracotta pots, and then I mulched it with moss and some different bark with lichen on it. Now, one thing I think you'll notice as we look at different ornaments and different things is that I like my vignettes, my Christmas vignettes, to tell a little bit of a story. So you'll notice that I've got some of these reindeer ornaments around, and I love the way they gaze up. I found these a couple of years ago. They seldom hang on the tree because they're just too dear to put in place and tell a little story about them gazing at some Christmas trees. I've got a waxed Brex bulb in here, amaryllis bulb in here, no water or soil or gravel required, and it's a little bit more elegant, so I have it to look forward to. And then I added a few more ornaments to the tree. I think it's still kind of simple, but one of my favorite things this year, and I got these off of Amazon, you guys, were these glass icicles. And they come in different lengths, but I just love the way they look. And I think they just create kind of a magical quality. And most of the ornaments I have on here are old mercury glass ornaments that I've had for years. I did get one new ornament this year, and it's a little llama. And I got that because it reminds me of one time when I was out working in the garden and a man with a llama and a carriage came by and took my kids for a llama ride. And it reminded me of that happy memory. So just a few ornaments that I added to the tree. And then normally I kind of try to coordinate all of my gift wrap, and most of it matches. This year I was really in what I think of as a spend out mode, and I wanted to just use up whatever Christmas decorations, Christmas ornaments, whatever I had, ribbons that I had in my basement to wrap things in. All of these will be removed to where we will spend Christmas. Some things I just like to have on the outside of the package to maybe give a little hint as to what's inside. This is an apron for my son and a book on charcuterie. I think he will like that. Oh, I'm glad you said that, Stuart. I would have forgotten. So I was running out of ribbon, and I had a bunch of these fairy lights, and I thought, oh, how cute would that be, especially at night, to wrap some of your gifts with these fairy lights instead of using ribbon, and it can become part of the gift itself. I happen to know that these little reindeer, these little furry reindeer, are some of Stuart's mom's favorites. She comments on them whenever she comes, and like I say, I just love the way they look up at things. And what this reindeer is looking at is one of my favorite things this holiday, and it's some of those battery operated taper candles. I got those off of Amazon, and they take 2 AAA batteries. I know, it looks so real. And you can put them on a candle setting, Stuart, or you can put them on a light setting. So that's kind of fun. And of course I have to have topiaries somewhere in my holiday decor, so these are just ivies with some mercury glass clusters of grapes. And then Stuart, this is, I gave you yours to give to your mom, didn't I? Okay, because Stuart got it. She hasn't gotten me. Okay, so we all went crazy on these Atrio tile earrings this year because they're just a crowd favorite, and Stuart got some from his mom. Now, my stockings, I tuck a few little gifts into what I call just my decorative stockings. The kids' real stockings have all of the other stocking stuffers in them that they will actually open on Christmas Day. And I did a video on stocking stuffers and a lot of the things that I'm giving this year. So you might, Stuart, let's put a link above that if people haven't watched it. So this year, I just always like to tuck fun little things in here. I think I mentioned earlier that I was captivated by these little felt ornaments. I had some, and I got a couple more at Mockingbird Manor when I was there. This little doggy, I think, is pretty cute. Actually, that's a little reindeer. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And then I tuck in some of their favorite candies. These are those, Oh yeah, Stuart was just enthralled by these. These are Oreo flavored candy canes. Stuart, I have a feeling you're going to take some of these home with you, aren't you? But isn't that fun? Yeah. And then these little boxes, every year I wrap them, and these are my boys' lifesaver books, which you and I have talked about before, Stuart. They are just a disappointment now compared to what they were when we were children, but nevertheless, a tradition is a tradition. And this wreath is one I showed you before. I hung it. It was part of the Together Weather campaign that I did with Terrain earlier in the year. And I love it because it's kind of an all-season wreath that I can hang in a number of different places. Oh yeah, those, I added those. Thank you, Stuart. These are some glass and then frosted and glittered ornaments that look like pine cones, and these show up in all sorts of different vignettes from year to year. And then when I wanted some dried appointments, I think I told you earlier that this year those dried appointments were rose hips. that I saved from last year. They're dried rose hips that came in a flower arrangement. I had a whole bunch of those this year. Oops. And I just kind of tuck them in wherever I think they'll look sweet. And then also I love to use dried seeded eucalyptus. And when I use it in arrangements, I will often save some of it. Sometimes I'll spray paint it. Sometimes I'll just leave it au naturel, but I love the way it looks. And then I tucked in some little flocked pine cones. Okay, this, I told Stuart that he could take anything that there were multiples of before we shot this video, but he couldn't attack the dessert plate until after we shot the video, because I think that this little dessert plate tells a story too. Don't you love that the Nutcracker came on just as I was saying that? This is very much something that reminds me of my mom, because we would have this a Spode tiered candy platter every year. She would have it filled with goodies. As I've told you 100 times before, I came from a very large family. There were 10 kids. At Christmas time, it was always chaotic. There were 1 million people coming in and out, and this little sweet tray would be replenished multiple times during the day, during the holiday season. But look at some of, even, like I say, even this little tray tells a story, because I got some of these little chocolates, which I think are so dear. And I got those at Trader Joe's. Again, early in the season, you guys, you have to take advantage and get their seasonal items when you see them, because they will be gone next time you go back. I love these little bottle brush trees. Now mine are not vintage like those we saw at John's and those we saw at my friend Sydney's, but I think they're sweet nevertheless. And one of my favorite things to do is to tuck them into a taper candle holder, and I'll show you how I secured it momentarily. But then it makes a really sweet Christmas tree skirt for your little bottle brush trees. Now I could have a whole forest here if I so chose. Here's another question I have for you guys. First of all, do you have that classic Christmas Spode china? So let me know if you do. And if you do you use the plates, the bowls, everything all during the season? In other words, for your everyday meals, do you save it just for special occasions? This is my favorite OG plate. I love the shape of this, and I keep this out all during the season, and pretty soon it will probably hold some other baked goodies. I think I have some chocolate peanut clusters in our future, Stuart. So that may go in there. So that's my little tableau, my little chocolate tableau. Now if we come over here, I think I showed you last time that I had these wooden angels that I had gifted to my mom years ago, and they were re-gifted to me after she passed. So I was gonna I couldn't decide really where to put them. And then I loved the little story that they could tell sitting here behind the couch. I made them some little halos and evergreen wreaths. I tucked some fairy lights in this apple and pear bowl. One of the things I love about the holidays is beautiful fruits that aren't always available other times of year. And this time of year, you can sometimes find tiny apples and tiny little seckel pears, lady apples sometimes, and I love those diminutive little fruits. I think they're especially sweet. And so my story here, my husband said, oh, look at the little angel that she just picked. He's always interpreting my little stories, that she just picked an apple from the tree. And I said, yes, and she's feeding it to the little bird. So I don't know, it's kind of silly, but it brings out the child in me. And I have fun doing it and composing it. And I get even more joy when somebody actually gets it. And when my husband got that this morning, it really made me happy. Okay, now come into my newly painted green dining room, where probably, I'm hoping if my son is not too jet lagged, I'll have a little bit of an open house tomorrow and it will be in here. Now come this way, Stuart, if you would, because this room isn't completely decorated yet because it's still a work in progress because I've got more entertaining to do. But I think I've showed you my greenhouse window that has more amaryllis in it. It's got lots of my myrtle topiaries. It's got some of my volunteer laurel topiaries that I just dug up from my yard. There's a little lemon cypress topiary in there. And then I've got my massive arrangement on the dining table that is all greens and lilies and berries. And I might have to refresh that one more time before the holidays, but maybe just the greenery and nothing else. Even when the greenery starts to dry, I kind of like the way it looks because it looks like a garden in winter. So sometimes I'll leave it. It just depends on what mood I'm in. If you see beyond at the sideboard, I polished all of my silver there, my silver candlesticks. And this is one thing that I do at Christmas time as a special holiday touch. I buy extra tall candles. You guys know how much I love burning my candles for entertaining, but also in the morning when I meditate. And for the holidays, I get extra tall candles, and they were a little bit difficult to find this year. I got these off of Amazon. I didn't think they were going to arrive until after the holidays, but they did, and I'm thrilled. And they make things look just a little bit more majestic. I have a whole series of these. These are Christmas ornaments, and you'll notice that it says the White House. My husband's Aunt Maggie worked for Senator Robert Kerr, who was an Oklahoma U.S. Senator. She worked for him for many years in Washington, D.C., and she collected these ornaments while she was there, and she often gifted them to some of us. So that's a special ornament. And then a really easy way to decorate something is to just put some of these fairy lights in anything crystal with a pine cone, with some greenery, with some little baubles, anything like that. And I think it really is an easy way to decorate. And I've tried to pick up on the turquoise and the blues in this montage here. So I've got a couple of my special ornaments that were gifted to me by my friend Jenny. And I put those out here because I don't have a lot of turquoise and blues in other areas of my house. Another thing that I did in addition to polishing all of my silver was that, man, I really cleaned all of my crystal too really, really well. And then let me come over here, Stuart, if you would, for those of you that were interested in whether or not I got the cart at Mockingbird Manor. I did. I got the bar cart, and right now it is really pressed into service in just a utilitarian way because I've got all sorts of snacks and things on here that I can use to replenish all of the little special goodie containers that I've got throughout the downstairs. But it also serves to kind of hold some things that I'm going to be taking for our Christmas dinner. Now, one thing every year my family does is we come up with a signature cocktail for the holidays that we serve on Christmas Day and on Christmas Eve. And this year we're doing white chocolate martinis, Stuart. Does that sound pretty decadent? And I'll give you the recipe, but I've got the ingredients for that here. I think it's vanilla, vodka. These are things I would not normally have around. Some creme de coco, some white chocolate liqueur, and obviously I'll have some kind of sugared, some sparkling sugar around the rim of the glass. Some other things I wanted to point out to you, and I'll put links below in the description. If you can't find the links, if you can't see where they are, then definitely just put it in the comments and we'll get the links to you. But these are some things that this year I could not have done without during the holidays, and really I think all year. And that's these little fairy lights, and I buy these by the box, and they just are just wonderful. They just give that little bit of additional sparkle, whether you want to wrap your gift with them. Stuart was particularly captivated with that, or stick them in a bowl or around a wreath or whatever. They're especially dear. So I couldn't have lived without that. These, Stuart, by the way, Stuart's mom is in the other room and she wants some of these. She saw these and she said, I could use some. So this would make a great stocking stuffer. These are little repair markers for your furniture, your wood floors, whatever. I got these at Home Depot, and they have been indispensable if any of your furniture gets nicks or is old. You bought something at a thrift store and it needed a bit of repair. So these, you guys, are absolutely great. And then lastly, I love these wax candle adapters. These hold the tapers in place. Pretty much you can fit a taper into any size candlestick. But also what they do is they help secure those little trees to the candlesticks. If you want to put a bottle brush tree on one of your candlesticks. I also have, I did not bring them out this year, but I have little topiaries that are all made in miniature pine cones, and I use these on those on candlesticks, and I use these to secure them. So these are wonderful, and I'll try to put a link below. Now, if I haven't worn you out yet, let's go into my breakfast room. Stuart, come this way. And I'm full of questions this year, you guys, in this video. So again, do you use your Spode china every day during the holidays? And do you keep your table set? I know some people do that because it looks so sweet and so charming. I typically don't do that because there's always too much going on at my house, and sometimes Stuart does some editing and things like that at this table. But I've got it all set for when he arrives. He's requested his favorite chicken chili rice soup that maybe I will make for you in another video. I put the recipe, I think, on one of my newsletters not too long ago. It is a resounding family favorite, and let me just say that why wouldn't it be? Because it's got so much cream and cheese in it. Behind you is just a little sideboard that I keep. Every morning we use our Spode coffee mugs, and then the little arrangement behind it was a thank you gift from Brex. This is one of the items in their holiday gift line, and they sent one to me because I've been working with them this year, so I really appreciate that. And then I'm so glad that it cooled off because I was able to light a fire in the fireplace. But first I want to show you something. This, Stuart so gets me, and this was one of the sweetest things he ever did. And you guys know how this year I was just completely mesmerized by all of these beautiful leaves. And this one, when we were shooting outside, this one was by the back door. And it was a perfect leaf, and Stuart got that, and he said, look, this leaf found you. And he very gingerly picked it up and was just very cautious so that he wouldn't crush it and bring it into me. Here I've got a wooden ornament down. But I just thought that was the sweetest thing, Stuart. I just loved that. So it will hold pride of place here, along with my little Danish wooden Christmas trees that were a gift. And then I've got more of those battery operated candles. And then if you were coming to visit with me, I would invite you to come and sit by my fire in one of the two chairs, mom and dad chairs, that we have right here looking into the kitchen. This was my mother-in-law's favorite place to sit when she would come and visit. I've probably told you this story before, but she would sit here and we would chat while I would be cooking in the kitchen, and it's one of my happiest memories of her. So on my mantle, last year, and if you want to see what it looked like last year, go back and look at the holiday video of my kitchen last year. Last year was all about citrus fruits and making pomanders and dried sliced oranges. And this year, the inspiration was these fabulous pomegranates that I saw at a farmer's stand when Hubs and I were taking a little road trip. And I just loved the way they look. They're beautiful, and they will dry beautifully just like this if we don't consume them first, because that's a really festive touch, I think, to have for drinks and salads during the holidays. But someone asked me in a comment, how do I dry the pomegranates? I don't do anything. I just leave them be and they dry on their own. These are 2 Christmas trees that I keep from year to year, and then I just made a little bouquet of pine cones to serve as, just kind of an additional flourish to suspend from these pots, which I love. And I got these, by the way, at Home Depot. They had a whole series of these that had kind of a primitive look to them. I just loved the way they looked. And I got some of these because a girl can never have too many pots. And then I want to show you one last kind of a personal thing. This is my husband's little workspace here. But he keeps this here because this was a gift from my son Johnny. Both of these were. And it reminds him of Johnny while Johnny's away. And then my husband is just a fanatic for wooden boats, for old wooden boats. And so he has a couple of his own Christmas ornaments that are small replicas of some of his wooden boats that he has. And he requests that I keep them there by his spot. And then I will end on this very, very happy note, because it was a wonderful year. I got 2 new, I could not be more fortunate, wonderful daughters-in-law. And this was their holiday card, one of my son's holiday cards for this year. So thank you guys so much. My kitchen is kind of a mess. Stuart, don't focus on it too much, because there is just lots of activity getting ready to happen in my kitchen. But I wanted to share with you some of the joy that I'm experiencing from having my son home. It's been over 2 years since we have seen him, and while I'm very disappointed that his new bride can't come with him, she has to work. She's got a new job, and she needed to stay home in Singapore over the holidays, and she'll be with her family. But I'm thrilled to have my son Johnny home. So from my house to yours, I have so much to be thankful for. I hope that you have loved ones coming home, and if you don't, I have been there before. I know how it is, but still there is much to savor from just the joy of the holiday spirit. So Merry Christmas to you, and Merry Christmas, Stuart. Well, if you've held on this long, here is my elf outfit for today. It's finally turned kind of chilly, so I'll do this quickly because Stuart's cold. My earrings are baubles that I have had. I can't even say that because my mouth is too cold to move. Baubles that I've had for a while. I can't remember where I got them. My top is Ralph Lauren. I bought this at Goodwill. My sweater is old Land's End canvas. I've had it for years and I love it. My leggings are Athleta. These were a Christmas gift from my kiddos 2 years ago. My bracelet belonged to my second mother, and I love it. It's one of my favorite bracelets. I think it's really, really dear. My little pinky ring was a gift from my mother-in-law. And Stuart, have I forgotten anything? My booties came from Nordstrom Rack many, many years ago. So there you go. There is my outfit du jour.